Hello friends, Tanya here for Spellbinders, and today I am going to be featuring several of the monthly clubs for February 2022. I started out by stenciling this large piece of cardstock. It is a 5.5 by 8.5 inch piece of white cardstock that I ink blended using these lovely rainbow of colors from the Hero Hues line. These are all reactive inks, and it creates this beautiful rainbow. I am using the Anytime Glimmer Sentiments Glimmer of the Month with the Lavender foil, and I have taken this and used it on a piece of 4.25 by 5.5 inch white cardstock, heavyweight white cardstock, and I am going to die cut this with one of the Essentials Ovals dies. You can use so many of these products in combination. I'm also going to take one of the small die of the month, which is the Oval Stitch and Border die set, and it's an amazing die set also. It has two ovals, two different sizes, and dies that cut the inside and the outside around them, and they have this gorgeous stitched detail. There's also dies to cut inside the oval and outside the oval, and there are also a set of dies that cut a border with the details above and below. And those detail dies are split for the largest and for the border die so that you could use those to just do an edge. You could do some, what would have to be a partial die cutting otherwise. And they're separate so that you can do that also. So I'm now taking the layers of my different elements here, and I'm adding some dimension behind them with some heavyweight white cardstock scraps. And I did take the same oval that I used to die cut the Glimmer Sentiments to cut out a chunk of cardstock to put behind the die cut large oval. I did have to trim the edges a little bit because it isn't a perfect matting with this Essentials oval. And then I was able to use that same die to cut paper to put right behind the sentiment oval. We also are making a 5 by 7 card, so I trimmed that stenciled panel down to 4 3/4 by 6 3/4, and I've adhered that to our 5 by 7 card base. Now this card needed just a little bit more. Oh, I'm erasing some smudge that I got on my white cardstock. I do like to use my Misty to hold a little extra pressure down. Now there are some new colors of the Essential Gems, and I'm using the Prism AB Essential Gems here to add a little extra interest to this card front. I think that is just what it needed. Actually, some pretty butterflies or flowers might have been nice on this, but I was trying to keep it pretty simple. I didn't want to make this an over-the-top card, although the stenciling was pretty amazing. And I will tell you that my ink pads have continued to be pretty dry. Every time I pull out an ink pad I haven't used in a while, it's pretty dry. And I've been using the refresher spray from Ranger, which apparently is water and glycerin. Don't try that yet. Well, or you can experiment, but know that I have not confirmed that yet. I am going to give that a try. I had a scrap of the stenciled pattern, a scrap of the pattern that I created with the stencil and the ink from when I cut that panel down for the front of the card. And I am adding just a little bit of that to the inside of the card because I do like to decorate the insides of my cards. And that is card number 1. We're doing 2 cards here. And this second card, we're going to do a mini slimline, and we're going to use the embossing folder of the month, the sketched floral. Look at that. Oh, I love that. I saw a sample that I think Yana did. And here is the die set we're going to use. This is the large die of the month kit, which actually has 2 components, main components. That is these beautiful flowers and foliage dies that you can layer in so many ways. And it also has a typewriter which is like a complete die set all on its own. I love this large die of the month kit. It is gorgeous. And I know that you're going to find tons of ways to use it. I'm going to show you some of the ways that you can layer these flowers up. And you'll see that stem die has two different calyx ends, or two little different flower connector ends, so you can choose and you can make that stem however long you want it. I just knew I didn't need very long stems, so I cut it right in the middle, and it made two stems for me all at once, which I loved. We've got these two bell-shaped flowers here that I'm creating. I wanted a couple of really big flowers to be focal points on this card. And I had taken the Sketched Floral embossing folder of the month, which they create this gorgeous deep detail with their embossing. And I embossed a panel of purple cardstock. But before I used the embossing folder of the month, I took the Anytime Glimmer Sentiments and I glimmered on the purple cardstock with some, I think it was polished brass. It might have been gold. It was honestly a scrap from my little container of scraps for foils, and laid that down on the purple cardstock and foiled it before I embossed it with my embossing folder. I had been inspired by a sample I saw that I'm pretty sure was done by Yana Smakula, and I did not know how she did it. I just thought I'd give this a try, and I'm so impressed with how this turned out. I'm pretty sure Yana used the acetate sheets that are sold by Spellbinders to to glimmer hot foil the sentiment on a piece of acetate, and then laid it over the embossed cardstock. I think both of these ways work excellent. I was just impressed that it didn't ruin the foiling to emboss over the top of it. Here you're seeing me take all of these gorgeous foliage pieces and flower pieces that I've layered up and adhering them to this embossed panel that is going to be on a mini slimline card. I love this size. It is so fun. I'm just adding little dabs of glue. I'm adding also some pieces of cardstock or chipboard to the backs of these flowers under the actual flower to pop them up and give them a little added dimension on this card front. I'm going to tuck that in under these branches and create this beautiful, totally unrealistic floral background. I love that you can build with this. And have you seen how many ways you can combine these? That it's just endless. There's so many ways you can combine these different layers to create some unique and fantastical little flowers. And it doesn't take a lot of time. Here you can see I had taken 4 colors of cardstock plus some white, shimmery white cardstock to die cut the flower elements and combine. And I had taken 2 colors of green. I only used one of the greens on this card. Don't worry, those other pieces will get used, actually in a different video, on some other cards. So stay tuned. I'll be airing that video soon also. I did a bunch of these videos and then waited for a new sound recording system. Are you liking the new sound? Is it better? I hope so. I think it is. Let me know in that comment section below. We're just adding a few more flowers to fill out this arrangement a little more. Just adding the centers, because this does die cut centers also for these little tiny flowers. You could use the Essentials gems or whatever other embellishments you have to the centers. I love to do that. You could also do Nouveau crystal drops or jewel drops or whatever drops that you would like. You can add details to these in so many ways. I did not choose to add any details with gel pen, but you could do that. These would be fun with all kinds of specialty papers, glitter papers, pearlescent papers. So many fun ways to add extra detail to these flowers. I'm just tucking these little, the small half circle floral designs or dies to the vines just to fill it out a little more again. And then I'm going to take the tiny leaves and we're going to add those to the card also to help add some extra foliage to these little tiny flowers that we've added. I think the foliage makes all the difference. Next, we're going to use one of the Card Creator die sets. This was the July 2021 Large Die of the Month kit, the Mini Slimline Envelope and Nested Card Creator, to create a background for behind this panel. I love this die set. I use it all the time. It adds extra detail and class to your layers. And again, for constructing this card, I am adding scraps of cardstock behind the layers. I've found that I like this lesser degree of dimension. And we all have paper scraps. Now, Spellbinders has started carrying pop-up foam sheets that you can add behind your layers for detail, for extra dimension. So if you love that extra layer of dimension and you don't want to use paper scraps, go for it. They have them easily available and you're going to love that too. Here are a bunch of the Spellbinders Essential Gems, and I am going to use the Sapphire AB on these. They are, that might be the Prism AB. I'm not sure. No, that is the Sapphire AB, and I'm just adding a scattering of these gems. I tend to use a ton of these gems because, to be honest, I have a ton of them. And they add a little extra sparkle, and they are so much fun. Being that I use a ton of them, and I do make a lot of cards, I'm amazed at how long they last. They look just gorgeous on this card. That is the pair of cards that I made with these several clubs. Let me know which ones you liked the best and what you would like to see in the future. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please take a moment to do that now. Leave me a comment. I love to hear what you have to say. And check out the description box below. Links and lists of all of the products that I've used today. Until next time, bye-bye.